So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can create recurring payments into your Trading 212 account. Now, for the purpose of this video, I am going to be using the Trading 212 Invest account, but the same principle applies to the Trading 212 Stocks ISA too. Now, there used to be a feature on Trading 212 a few years ago called scheduled payments, but that's apparently gone from these new versions. So now, if you want to invest in a regular schedule, you're going to have to put your investments into a pie on Trading 212. Now, the reason why I'm using my invest account is because currently I have no other investments and I have quite a bit of cash, so it'll be very easy for me to show you. So the first thing we're going to want to do is to invest into something. So I'm going to do this live in front of you. I'm going to purchase £1 in the S&P 500. So as you can see, there are quite a bit of options. I'm just going to go for my favorite one. I don't recommend this by any means. I'm just showing you for the purpose of this video. So once I find the fund, all I have to do is buy it. I'm going to spend just £1 here and review order and then press send by order. So now you can see if I scroll down that I do have one investment here, which is in the iShares Core S&P 500, so £1 worth in that. If I go into it and I want to buy some more, there is actually no option for me to do this in a regular fashion or any sort of scheduled way. So like I said before, you're going to have to put this into a pie and enable auto invest. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that step by step. So don't worry if you are absolutely new to Trading 212. If you are new to Trading 212 and would like a free fractional share worth up to £100, all you have to do is to sign up using the link in the description box down below. Alternatively, if you signed up to Trading 212 just before watching this video in the past 10 days but didn't receive your free fractional share, all you have to do is to press the 3 horizontal line menu over here, scroll all the way down until you see the section use promo code. And in this section, just enter the code JUBAIR and you should receive your free fractional share. So there are a few different ways in creating a pie on Trading 212. If you are brand new to Trading 212, unfortunately, it's not very intuitive. You might want to check out a video over here that I made a couple of years ago explaining the basics of the pie. Since then, things have changed, but that's the basics and it's good to know. Just on top of my investment, you can see there is a prompt that says quick start with a pie. Let's go into that. Now, what we're going to want to do is to go into custom pie at the top. So let's not stay in the model tab that we are currently. Now, when we press custom pie, you can press at the bottom add instruments. This is where we can put in our investments into that pie. So from here, you can search for a stock or ETF that you would like to put into the pie. For example, if we wanted to add the same investment that we just bought, we can type in the ticker code, which is typically the 4-character code that is associated with a stock or a fund. And then we can just press on it and then we can press add to pie here. So within a pie, you can add up to 50 companies and you can also change around the percentage allocation of these companies if you have more than one. So over here, you can actually enable auto invest so that you can invest into the companies or funds within your pie at a regular schedule. So all we do now is press next. Now this part is creating your investing plan. It also gives you a projection of what you might be able to expect given that you invest a certain amount regularly over a certain period of time. For example, if we start with just £1 and then monthly we deposit £20, if we invest over 40 years, this projection says we could expect around £466,000. Do bear in mind that this is actually pretty unrealistic as it's based on an average annual return of 14.01%. So for that reason, I think it's pretty unrealistic to assume that you're going to get anywhere close to what is projected, but it's a nice projection to have anyway, and past performance is no indication for future growth. In either case, here is where you can set up your monthly recurring amounts. If I click on monthly where it says 10 by default, you can see that I now have control over how recurring I want my payments to be. So for example, you can do this daily, you can do this weekly, fortnightly, which is every 2 weeks, every 2 months, or even every 6 months. Now, I think the most common would be monthly, and you can choose a day when the payments are made into the pie. Now, the first could be a good date. Let's just go with that. And then all we have to do is press update. Now, this you can leave at 40 years or you can change. It doesn't really make a difference as you can cancel this later on. Then all we have to do is press next. And then you can name the pie, and naming pies, if you have more than one, just makes it easier to organize. I'm just going to be calling this pie testing and then press next. And then all you have to do is to fund the pie. Now, I do not recommend anyone funding the pie through the card because after your first £2,000, there will be a massive 0.7% fee. There is a way of actually funding your pie via your free funds, which is the method that I would go for. Now, as I already said, I have quite a bit of cash in my Trading 212 Invest account, currently over £15,000, so I would prefer to fund my pie with this cash. If you go into deposits, you can actually use the instant bank transfer, which is free and very secure. This would be the only way that I would fund my account personally on Trading 212. So as you can see with my testing pie, currently there are no investments within it. You can see that the investment that I made in the S&P 500 is still outside of my pie. Now, all I have to do is to go into the testing pie, and then at the top, there are 3 dots. I want to press that. Now, over here, I can actually import investments that I've made outside of the pie into the pie. And here you can see all of the investments that you have. For the purposes of this test, I only have 1 investment, so let's add that and then just press next. Now, if I had multiple investments or an investment that had many different shares, I can choose how much I want of those shares into my new pie. I'm going to go with 100% and then I'm going to press confirm. And just like that, instantly, the £1 investment in the S&P 500 is now in my testing pie. If I go back to my portfolio, you can see that I no longer have that individual investment in the S&P 500 outside of my pie. If I go into this pie now, you can see I have that investment and I can also configure my auto invest. Now, unfortunately, with Trading 212, I can't see an easy way to make standing orders from your bank account. However, under your portfolio, there is this blue button called deposit. When you press it, under instant bank transfer, there is also an option to do a bank transfer. You can then insert the details of your bank, and then whenever you make a transfer, Trading 212 will catch it and put it in your Trading 212 investing account, whether it's the invest account or stocks and shares ISA. Now, because you can deposit within your bank, you're going to have to manually go into your bank and set up a standing order. That's what I would do. Set up the standing order for the first of the month, for example. Once the funds hit the Trading 212 account, they will essentially be left as cash. So then later I can go into the pie that I just created, scroll down until you see the section auto invest. Once you go into that, you can actually add a payment method and then you can just select free funds. Do leave some time between the standing order date and the date that you select for auto invest, because if the funds aren't available, then auto invest won't be able to put those funds into the pie. Now here, I'm going to show you a real life example of a pie that I set up with auto invest. Now, as you can see, the green light is on for auto invest. So I've actually set up auto invest to invest daily this time, and the deposit amount is £10. And the payment method that I've used is my free funds. So I make sure there's enough free funds in my Trading 212 stocks ISA for them to take out £10 every single day. Now, the great thing about auto invest is it manages everything else itself. However, do note that if you are investing £10 daily, it will take out £10 every day, even including the weekends, even though the stock market is closed. So typically on Monday, whatever was held on the weekend will be invested as a lump sum. Now, if I wanted to, I could actually edit my investing plan. I can change the daily investing figure by scrolling over here. You can even manually go into the number and type in what you want. Now, under daily, there is a drop-down menu. You can press that and you can change how recurring you want your payments to be. For example, if you want to change your investing interval from daily to monthly, you can easily change that here. Furthermore, you can set an end date. I wouldn't really worry about this, as you can cancel the auto invest at any point. Auto invest is really great for a set and forget approach. One of the best things, in my opinion, is if you have multiple companies within the pie that pay out dividends, you can actually set up auto reinvestment of the dividends by going into here. It's very simple. It's either on or off. If you switch auto reinvestment of dividends off, the dividends that are paid out just accumulate as free funds within the pie. You can do what you want with them later. So make sure to check out some of my other videos and I'll see you in the next video.